Mental torture. The Guardian Post in today's edition, the Lone Anglophone Daily cited Tumi Frunzi, Archbishop Cornelius Eswa, Fon Sem Bingo, Professor Tambo Leke, Gaffison, and Chief Njombe, all are elites of the Anglophone faction that have either been kidnapped or tortured by the non-state actors. Doctor, I want to start with you. What do you make of these headlines carried by the Anglophone newspaper, The Guardian Post?
It's really sad, Mr. Moderator. I want to use this opportunity to say that this is time that we have to stop the psychological blame game in our country. This is a time that we have to stop the kidnapping and the torture and the killing, because as we are talking, killings are still going on in our country. Mr. Moderator, before I land there, look at the case. Look at the issue of the Kumba massacre, where children were killed. And I feel that we need to have dignity for human beings. And we have reached a time in our country, Cameroon, where there's no dignity for human beings, where life is not more sacrosanct, because I feel that life should be sacrosanct, Mr. Moderator. We have to dignify human beings. We have seen situations where children were harassed in the school in Limbe, Mr. Moderator. It was so embarrassing, where children were embarrassed. You could see young adolescent children where they were stripped naked, Mr. Moderator. That is a taboo in our African culture. It's not correct. Looking at the constant kidnapping, the constant torture of people, like of high caliber, men of God like Christian Cardinal Tumi, a man that recently celebrated his birthday at the age of 90. That is an issue that, Mr. Moderator, it pains the mind psychologically. Nothing on earth should give people the opportunity or the opportunity to even think of capturing a man of God of that magnitude, Christian Cardinal Tumi, for questioning, Mr. Moderator. It is uncalled for. I think that we are missing the root. We have to go back to the root causes. When the crisis started, the people were for the no-state actor. But look at what is happening on recent days, the arrestation of men of God of that magnitude. It is not called for. It is high time we come out and call a spade and stop all this. The killing is not solving any problem. The arrestation and questioning of Christian Cardinal Tumi, it is not called for at this point in time. He's a man of God, and we must respect a man of God of that magnitude, a man at his age, because I believe that culturally, a man of his age in an African setting needs a lot of respect. We need to value people of that caliber. He's a grandfather. At his age, he should not be questioned with guns and so on. We must respect people like that. I want to go to the phone of Saul. The phone of Saul is a traditional ruler. And the issue here is that we, especially in the grass field, respect traditional rulers a lot. Traditional rulers are the custodian of culture. We call them bear. Nobody has a right to question a traditional ruler in our African tradition, especially in the grass field, Mr. Moderator. We have seen situations where even in the southwest, where chiefs they have killed chiefs. So it is high time we think whether the way is that the way forward for solving the Anglophone crisis, because killing chiefs will not solve problem. Capturing funds will not solve our problem. We have to go back to the roadmap and think and rethink. And I'm calling on the non-state actors abroad that this is a time for introspection. This is a time for conscience. We have to rethink that what we are doing. Is it solving the Anglophone problem? I want to tell you that, Mr. Moderator, as days are going by, the tension is too much. I'll also be calling on the government that it is high time all of us are honest, all of us are assertive to call for an inclusive dialogue to solve the Anglophone crisis. Looking at situations where no one is safe, chiefs are being killed on a daily basis. We respect chiefs a lot. They are custodians of culture, and nobody has the right to take human life. Not to talk of that of children, that of a chief, and we need to respect human beings. This is a time for conscience. I'm passing conscience for each and every Cameroonian. The state actors, the non-state actors. I'm telling you that this is time for you to rethink. capturing people, shooting people, killing people, kidnapping people on both sides. It will not solve the Anglophone problem. It is time for retrospect, for us to respect life.
Misunderstood. After you, Doctor, Mr. Pope Bertrand, do you think the perpetrators are on a strategic move?
Mr. Moderator, touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm is not a slogan. It is the biblical law, backed by Psalms 105, chapter 15. That is to tell you the value which God himself placed this man of God. And to further paint the picture, the Bible makes a pronunciation 108 times on the word kings. That is to tell you that even God has a reserved place for kings, which it is kings from kings to forms are all persons of the same line. Mr. Moderator, to tell you what the Gideon newspaper captured, which is very pathetic to me, it captures, say, 2 weeks of high murder abduction, which has left the Cameroonian states bleeding. To add a few to this is also crying the 7 children and the 7 chiefs lost so far in this so-called crisis in the northwest and southwest, Mr. Moderator. I bleed as a southwesterner. I bleed heavily that we have lost 7 chiefs. The list is very lengthy for me going pronouncing their names and their villages, but I bleed seriously, and the rest of the southwest Cameroonians in general bleed for these chiefs who have lost their life. To further say here that it is time, and it's time indeed, to factor out the X and Y and plot the solution draft of the solution to the Anglophone problem. I want to also say that the Christian community in Cameroon have been very silenced, and even the government has taken their silence for granted. And that is why, as we best know in the local pidgin language, when a stick is softer, of course, maggots make their way into the tree. I want to say that let these our leaders stand up to the examples of Desmond Tutu of South Africa, who played a major role in solving crisis in his own environment, and step up their games to help Cameroon achieve peace. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Before I come to you, Mr. Item, I want to remind you, dear viewers on YouTube, if you are watching us, it's on YouTube Buzz, you can equally contribute to today's edition with the number on the screens. And to you, Mr. Item, what do you make of the term self-arrogated liberator as titled by the Guardian Post? Are these perpetrators self-proclaimed and arrogant liberators?
You know, when people are out in a struggle, they at times misfire, as people might term it. At times they take strategies that might not be friendly to humans, simply because of their self-centeredness, and simply because they want to achieve what they want, irrespective of how the society feels. But the question that comes to people's mind after that is, which people do you want to govern? You know, in as much as people want liberty, and people want to fight for your right, you should respect the right of another person, because first, you are gaining the freedom to govern a group of people. You are not gaining the freedom to govern stones or animals. That is why I released a write-up where I had to say to write on the deplorable Anglophone crisis, okay. Considering that perhaps you have 5 children. Let me say Peter have 5 children and Mary have 2 children. And now you, Peter, you come into your house and you start killing your children. You kill all your children simply because they are making friends with Peter's children. And at the end, you will realize that your house is finished. You, at the end, realize that even you will die and your generation will completely be wiped out. So I am calling on those people who fight for others' right to know that they are fighting for people's right, for a right to govern the people. And at the end, if they don't take that people's life to be inalienable, to be sacrosanct, to be sacred, at the end they are fighting a lost battle, because they will have no society to govern. As per the issue of the phone and saw, Dr. rightly put it, the Northwesterners have always been consistent when it comes to the respect of their traditional authorities. And I know that the Northwesterners' traditional authorities have never taken side except in the contemporary society that we see today, where chiefs are becoming political and are forgetting about the interests of their people. But that does not give anybody any right, because these people have been given the right to be traditional authorities by the gods and by their forefathers who believe so much in their capabilities. So a young man coming today to maybe question a person whom the gods have endowed with a lot of intelligence makes no sense. And I want to talk on the issue of His Lordship, Christian Kadinatumi.
Yes.
You know, one thing I loved about this man is that irrespective of how there is tension all over the country, he doesn't want to take side with anybody. Okay. I remember once when he went to Manfi, he went to Bamenda and he returned back on several TV platforms and he told the people, no, the dust has not yet settled. There is a lot of insecurities everywhere. And he spoke his mind, irrespective of the fact that the government was saying that things have come back to normal, irrespective of the fact that commissions went out and they came back with positive reports. He had to be straight to the point. And that is why even when he was taken by the unknown gunmen, he had to still be strict. He told them he's not going to go and talk for anybody. He will talk what his conscience tells him, and he will only tell people what is right. I so much admire this man, and I feel that these are people we should emulate, irrespective of their weakness. No human being is strong enough that does not have soft spots in his life. So we should learn to accept other people's opinion and to live together. Otherwise, any government or any freedom fighters who feel that only their point of view is the only point of view, they are fighting a lost battle.
Dr. Busi Ernest, during the rush hours of COVID-19, we saw a relatively calm situation to what we are currently living now. How can you explain that?
When you look at the nature of COVID-19, I want to say that COVID-19 was dreadful. Yeah. And at that time, the mind of people, there was a confusion of the mind. And when you look at the non-state actors also, they were afraid of the COVID-19, whether they like it or not. Even the military, though some people were using it as an economy of benefit, but I want to say that everybody was afraid of COVID-19. And the fact that that dreadful COVID-19 came, it reduces the picturizing of people to think about the Anglophone crisis, because everybody was about looking for self-defense, a better health strategy. But now that COVID-19 is gradually dying, the crisis started again. People started focusing on the Anglophone crisis again. I want to say that COVID-19 came and people were focusing on COVID-19, but now it's different. But nevertheless, Mr. Moderator, it's high time. We should be looking on the way forward. The crisis has been deep. People have died, and people are still dying as we are talking. And people are refugees, people are IDPs. People are refugees in Nigeria as we are talking now, Mr. Moderator. People are being kidnapped. Who will be kidnapped next? So the truth is that, permit me answer. The truth is that we have reached a certain extent that it is our responsibility to denounce everything, the bad acts that happens in our community. It is high time the population denounce everything bad that is harmful, that is barbaric, for us to look for a way forward to solve the Anglophone crisis.
The chief of OMSO is still under captivity, Mr. Pope Item. What do you make of it?
Well, under the Geneva Convention, it is said that anyone under captivity must be appropriately given some degree of treatment. Being under captivity, even in a camp, not by people and supportive. We want to see they have put up their policies of interrogation, and I saw on the internet, though I cannot authentify the reliability of that communique that is circulating, that they are using him as an exchange point for their own leaders in the maximum security prison. Under captivity.
Was he going back for the regional elections? Was he going back to for the original elections?
No. I thought he was kidnapped on his way to Kumba.
Yes, to Kumbo.
To Kumbo.
To Kumbo. Okay.
I think I'll be back to you. Let's take the second newspaper. Now is a chronicle that titled Baseless Terrorism, talking about Chris Anu, Sako, Ivo, Cho Ayaba, and a number of them. The question I want to ask from you, do you think their argument has turned baseless simply because the people are terrified now?
Normally, we cannot forget about the root causes of the Anglophone crisis. You know, when this crisis started, I knew that we would reach this point.
Okay.
I knew that...
are you a prophet?
I'm not a prophet, but I foresaw that the strategy used by the government, delay strategy, will lead to a particular point where the society will be so tired of what they are facing, due to the fact that especially human lives are not valued. If you die, in fact, the whole Cameroon care, they die. They don't care. And the people who are the Amazonian
leaders,
terrorists or leaders that they call them, don't also care. What they care is their freedom. We have to get to Boya. And what they care is we have to keep this country one and indivisible. And now any other body or person under can sleep. I used to ask the question, if they have to put the corpses of more than 3,000 persons here, who will stand there to say that I'm not going to bring a solution to this crisis? It means that you are inhuman. Therefore, it is not baseless. The struggle that the people are fighting is not baseless, because even the president of the republic has to accept that there is a root cause of the crisis. The problem now is to look for visible solutions. It's the solutions that are tarrying, and it's the inability of the two parties to compromise, to accept that no, we have to put human being first, and we have to come to a meeting point and to let go our selfish ambition. That is where the two parties have refused to come to, and that is why we are where we are. And I am putting it straight to the people that in as much as they don't value human life, the two parties will lose the game at the end, because you come to see that nobody will emerge the winner, because no family can stand up and be proud that I have not lost a soul during this crisis. Who bears the pains? All of us bear the pain. I know that there are people that their tax-paying money would have kept the head of state very strong and healthy. I know that there are people that have died, that their wealth would have kept the Anglophones very healthy, but they passed away. Who bears the pains? Who become the loser? Me and you. So it is high time we know that we are fighting for vanity.
After you, Mr. Item, I want to move to the third newspaper, The Sun, that titled Economic and Security Crisis, Stubborn Challenges Confronting the CPDM 38 Years on Regime of Cameroon. What comment do you make of that, Dr. Busi?
It is a very challenging time in our country, whether we like it or not. It's a very difficult time. It's a very turbulent time, psychologically, politically, economically, socially, and just to name a few. Mr. Moderator, President Paul Biya came to power in 1982, and when he came to power, he brought forth the policy of rigor and moralization. Rigor all means strictness and looking into it that there's moral rectitude in the country, seeing into it that it fights against corruption, nepotism, tribalism. And we can see that recently, I want to say that when you look at all these issues of moral rectitude, I want to say that I will not only blame the government also, but I also blame the individuals, because it starts from the individual. Moral rectitude starts from the individual, Mr. Moderator, before it moves on. Like many other people will say it starts from top to bottom. I will say it also starts from bottom to top. And I feel that the level of corruption in Cameroon has been high, and we have to fight against corruption in this country, where Kuna was created. And I feel that a lot of people have embezzled money in this country, and that vision has not really been attained. And President Paul Biya has been working very hard to see that.
Is there any moral at all?
President Paul Biya has been working very hard to see that he fights against that. And I want to say that it should start from the individual level. What I have to say here is that we need to reshape our educational system. How can we reshape our educational system, Mr. Moderator? There are many ways for us to reshape our educational system to bring about that morality. And how can we bring about that morality? There are many ways for us to bring about that morality. We have to shape our educational system and bring values right up from nursery school to primary school, because there are some philosophers that says people are born good, but the society corrupts their mind. So we need now that morality, that community of values that we used to have, because our forefathers used to have these values that I might even keep my shoe here, coming back I will see it. But today, Mr. Moderator, in the neighborhood, keep your shoe outside, sun your dresses outside the neighborhood in which we live. Coming back, you might not even see it. To say that we have to start building values at the family circle before the state institutions. And I want to say that issues of morals are really dying, and we need such personalities of integrity to build our country. And President Biya has been talking on that on several times, that morality will build Cameroon. So I'm talking to all stakeholders, I'm talking to the family, I'm talking to non-governmental organizations, I'm talking to top government ministers and statements that all of us have to build this country with morality. Go to issues of tribalism. It's common now. We have to fight against tribalism in this country, because President Biya put it in rigor and moralization that it is our responsibility to fight tribalism. We can be Cameroon only with meritocracy. Look at the exams in Enam, that a single individual, people were coming from a particular family, about 7 persons, to pass an entrance like that. Those are ills that we have to extract out to be the country. I think that President Biya alone cannot do it. It's a collective largesse for all of us Cameroonians to be values and shape our country to be better, Mr. Moderator.
At the same time, President Biya have now addressed 7 consecutive letters to the President of the United States, taking Joe Biden as the 7th president. It's quite a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome now to our first topic of the day, U.S. elections. What lesson for democracy? The world was